to place a wreath, and we're seen there behind him. And then if you watched the thing last night, and if you didn't watch it, you should get on it just for the fun of it. The inaugural concert last night, which was kind of weird, but they also did a little I don't know, a little monologue with three of them, I guess, standing someplace and talking about, the peaceful transition of power and that sort of stuff, and how they were with Joe Biden, and, he was their president now, and all this sort of stuff, which is very anti-libertarian, I guess. But from the standpoint of from being an American citizen, it's heartening to hear that kind of talk again.
Absolutely.
I'm done.
No, absolutely. I mean, I've just never been a fan of the inauguration. To me, it's the height of political theater, even though the rest of it's all political theater nowadays too. But it's a pomp and circumstance that I just don't enjoy. I don't know. I know it's important.
Yeah.
Part of it all, but it's just, yeah.
Especially this year. I mean, the crowds obviously weren't there, but there's like I was talking before the show, Chrissy Teigen was there with her family. We're all like on these lockdowns where we're not allowed to go out in public, and all these rich people are hanging out together having a party, and we're allowed to watch it on TV. So I agree. And because of what happened on the 6th, there was a lot of extra theater this time.
Yes.
Inaugurations are always better to watch on TV, though, because it's Washington, D.C. in the winter. Yeah. So watching it on TV is the best way. You actually get to see something. I know people that were at the Biden, or no, the Obama inauguration, the first one, because it was so historic and everything, and they said they couldn't see a thing and they could hardly hear anything. So I mean, if you really want to get the essence of what's going on, you have to watch it on TV.
I would assume it's very much like the New York Times Square New Year's Eve bash or the Macy's Thanksgiving Day parade. It's always better on television than it is in person.
Yeah, you can say you were there, but that's about it.
Yeah, exactly. I've got stories about the Times Square New Year's celebration, but not for public comment.
Okay. Well, we got some people in there that are just saying hi to us, so that's nice to hear. So.
Absolutely, yeah.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, everyone. So but I mean, even on first day one, I mean, geez, his pen was running out of ink, wasn't it? I mean, the executive orders, they went a-flying.
Yeah, probably the big one from my part of the world is the Keystone Pipeline. Passes right through Nebraska. The Nebraska sandhills have been, kind of in the bullseye on that for quite a while. My mom called me today. She lives down the road a little ways, about 10 miles from where there is an element of the Keystone. And she says, "Does that mean all those guys are going to lose their jobs that are working on it?" I said, "I don't know, maybe."
Well, I mean, there's just a lot. I actually have a brief list in front of me right now, and I haven't even gone through everything. But as far as COVID-19 response, he has 100-day masking challenge, which. Why you make that an executive order, I have no idea.
That's what I was going to ask you guys. I mean, as libertarians, like, what do you think? Executive orders change, like, from president to president. So everything's temporary. So, I don't know.
So the original intent, going back to the, 1790s when, executive orders really started, most of them were naming post offices or giving military units special distinctions and pronouncing that such and such a day would be National Hamburger Day. I mean, these were the executive orders that were coming out of the original presidents. It wasn't really until you saw FDR. I mean, Abraham Lincoln really kind of opened up a lot of the floodgates on that. But then they kind of waned down again, and then FDR brought him back in a big way, and they've just never gone away after that. So,
I think that there's a place. Okay, this is the political science nerd, but I mean, there's a place for executive orders during emergency situations. Because a legislature, if you go back to Abraham Lincoln and even back to Roosevelt, Congress wasn't in session perpetually, and they couldn't get there quickly. Okay, it's several days after Pearl Harbor before they were able to declare war. So welcome, Douglas. But I do think that it's, and so during the pandemic, lots of governors have issued executive orders. So executive orders, can provide some temporary relief, but they also, because of the way that presidents look at executive orders as, their way to legislate without the legislature, it can cause some real problems too. And that's what we've seen with a lot of presidents is they issue guidelines or orders for their own administration. And then you have, for instance, Joe Biden is now, rescinding all of the executive orders of the Trump administration. But if he didn't rescind them, the Trump administration executive orders would still be in place.
Right.
Yep.
Except Trump did end his one executive order about the lobbyists. If you worked for Congress, then you were allowed to be a lobbyist. And then on the last day of his term, he reversed it. So you can't be a lobbyist. So yeah. How
Isn't that special?
So petty.
Yeah.
But he has, just the topics covered: COVID-19, financial relief for Americans from COVID-19, environmental issues, human rights, immigration. Immigration goes on for a while. Regulation and ethics are the big categories.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Some of it seems like just a knee jerk to say I undid something Trump did, and some of it makes sense in my mind. I don't agree with using executive orders as willy-nilly as he's doing. I would like to see Congress doing this and doing their job, but I see some of them. I would probably say out of the ones that I've actually gone through, I would say about a quarter of them are actually valid.
Yeah. If you go back and look at some of the executive orders that have been the most controversial over the last dozen years or so. DACA was an executive order because Congress wouldn't act, right? Correct. And so then Trump tried to reverse it. So you have you typically see executive orders in recent years, anyhow, in areas where Congress just can't get its together, right, and act.
Yeah, and I don't think any Congress would have, well, maybe the last one, would have approved that 90-day temporary travel ban from predominantly Muslim countries that lasted, 1,000-something days. Yeah. So that one, I was actually very excited to see that day one.
Anytime that you're seeing the freedom of people to move and interact, I think that's a win for humanity regardless.
Yeah.
So. I'm sorry, I'm reading some of the comments.
Great comments in here.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
So yeah, I think that, what about Michael Smith asks about the former CIA chief calling us radical?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you see this comment on MSNBC?
Yeah.
Yeah, even libertarians.
Yeah. I take great offense to being lumped in a sentence that includes white supremacists, domestic terrorists, international terrorists, general subversives, and everything that he had on that list. And then he wraps it up, and you could tell he was very proud that he got that in.
Yeah.
That, libertarians, and we are the antithesis of almost every single group that he listed off. I just, you could see the political expediency just dripping from his mouth, because I think he's scared, because he's in the pocket of the old parties, and he wants to sing their song.
Yeah.
It's the only rational idea I can come up with. Does anyone else have any idea?
Well, people on Twitter, saying hashtag libertarian in their bios and wearing a MAGA hat, and that maybe, he's thinking that like he's going to put us all in one category, but, self-proclaimed libertarians who are Trump supporters are not libertarians, and those are the people that we are trying to distance ourselves from. I could call myself whatever. That doesn't make me whatever. You know what I mean? Like, unless you're walking the walk and talking the talk, then you're not.
Yeah, I think that
it's disappointing.
And I think that the other part of it is that we are an increasingly big tent party.
Yeah.
And so, there is going to be some disagreement, not in terms of direction. We all want more liberty. We all want less government, but end point or means to the end are up for debate. And, we're libertarians. We certainly love to, debate each other. So I think it's important that, we don't demand 100% fidelity to a particular end goal. What we ask for is fidelity to the direction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say that's accurate to a T.
Yeah.
So we've got people. Daryl asks us about thoughts on left libertarians and their role in the party now and moving forward. I don't know, you guys, I thought that was an interesting comment, because I suspect that it's early on, 7:07. Yeah, there you go. So here's the thing, and again, that gets back to the big tent, right?
Mm-hmm.
We are, probably the three of us, come at libertarianism from different, original points. And so to say that libertarians are, right leaning, I think is, just as false as, we want freedom.
Exactly. Well, and the average American still thinks of the political spectrum as purely right and left.
Mm-hmm.
When in Europe, it is a much more three-dimensional grid, or just look at the Nolan quiz, and it shows that there is a right, left, up, and down, and it's very accurate to that aspect. And we are just as far from the right and the left, but not necessarily on the same plane as they are. We are in an upward fashion, according to the Nolan quiz, which I like. So, it's, yeah, Jordan, I absolutely agree. We should abolish the two-party system. Absolutely.
Yeah, sounds good.
That's not even a question. That's just a pure statement right there.
The question is how to get there, because
there you go. You fixed it. You got the exclamation point.
There you go. Because in reality, there's nothing that requires a two-party system. It's just the way it's worked out over time, because of the way we select our elected officials. But I think
I've said it before, and I'll say it a million times again. We are the only democratic nation in the Western world that only has two major political parties. Our neighbor to the north, Canada, has 7.
Mm-hmm.
England has, I think, 6 right now. There's 8 in Germany. It goes on and on. There are every single democracy in the Western world has far more than just 2 parties. Not even 3. 3 is a good start in the right direction, but that's still not enough.
Yeah.
Well, but that's what. But the difference is that in those systems, the parties. The parties can specialize, but before they form the government, they form coalitions. You have a coalition government made up of multiple parties. We form our parties. We form our coalitions, or we used to, inside the parties.
Yeah.
And the Democrats and the Republicans, I think, are becoming far less open to that coalition building. That's where I think libertarians have great potential here if we will play nice with each other, because it's possible that a libertarian in Nebraska is going to think differently than a libertarian in North Carolina or a libertarian in New Hampshire about certain issues. And, we should be able to, work with that. We all want to go in the same direction.
Here's an interesting question. Do you think it's true that Trump ended the Republican Party, and will the Libertarian Party be able to capitalize on it?
He did a lot of damage. I think everybody can agree to that. He did a lot of damage because he became a cult leader almost, not a politician. And so people spent 4 years like Ted Cruz. Okay, Ted Cruz, he insulted his wife, insulted him, basically he called his wife an ugly dog, right? And he was like kissing his butt the entire time. And where does Ted Cruz go from there? But there's people that are like that who are just, like you and me. And they have invested so much time and money and their life into this that they would be embarrassed to go back on it. So that's going to be a big chunk. I don't think it's going to be the 70 million votes or whatever, but a big chunk of that's going to be lost. But I looked at some numbers from Arizona because I just happened to see them. And between the 1st of January and the 12th or 14th or something of January, 9,000 people changed their voter registration. 9,000 people didn't change their voter registration just from the Republican Party. So I think that all of this shenanigans, and it's been an enlightenment for almost everybody who's paying attention to politics. So I think we are going to capitalize on this kind of distress and destruction and weirdness that's happening right now, because we are actually the only sane party right now.
Last weekend, we had a first-time event for a potential new affiliate in what used to be my legislative district, the 4 counties. It's a rural area, and we had that event, and we had posted it on Facebook and all this sort of stuff, and we had 8 or 10 people who had said that they were going to be there. None of the people who RSVP'd showed up. Okay, but what was interesting, well, maybe one did, but what was interesting was you had several people show up, just kind of wandered in off the street, and they found us, and they said, "Are you the Libertarians?" Yeah. And they said, "We're looking for something else." And I think that's what's happening, that there's a lot of people out there looking for something else, that that see that that the system is broken. And so if we can welcome people with open arms and say, "Come on in," I think there's a potential for us to have some great growth in the next year or two.
Yeah.
So Jordan makes another great comment here. You have to realize there's a large libertarian community on TikTok. The youth is built with intelligence. I don't know how political parties can really capitalize on TikTok yet. I don't know. I mean, do you have a strategy or an idea on how to utilize TikTok or any other differing social media strategy?
I don't. I'm doing good on Facebook.
Some Bernie Sanders memes. I got nothing.
There were some great memes though going around today.
Oh my gosh, today was on fire. Fire.
Yeah.
Hilarious.
I have a friend who's a who's a band teacher, and his wife is like, graphic artist, and she had a whole bunch of these little memes with Bernie Sanders. She'd picked him out, and he was sitting there in the middle of the band. He was sitting all over the place, in different pictures. She said he's almost like family, in their driveway. It was pretty good.
And welcome Mike to the party. Mike. Look at that.
All right, we like new libertarians here. It's great.
Absolutely, I love hearing that. That's one of the best parts.
Okay, so what else? Are we going to do the news quiz?
Yeah, we should probably start that because we
went over last time.
1 or 2 times we've kind of rushed it. So let's pull that up here.
But yeah, people all over the place, on here. They're telling us where they're from, and it's awesome.
Oh yeah, definitely. Hey, I mean, and that just shows you that libertarianism is in every corner, and real libertarianism, not what some people are trying to define it, because there's a lot of people that call themselves libertarian just to make themselves edgy. And I'm talking about real libertarianism, and not the one true libertarian either. I'm real libertarianism. It's everywhere. It's common sense. That's what it is.
Can I talk to all the people who are saying that we need to hire somebody to do social media? Yeah, we have a paid team. It's not us. We're
no. It's not us.
That's a good thing.
No, it's a very good thing. No, we definitely have a professional social media team, and we're about to have a new communications director. So very excited about that.
Don't worry, we're not the ones doing TikTok.
Oh no, it's not us. It's not us. But okay, so question 1. Donald Trump this week became the first president to have been impeached twice. Who are the 2 presidents that have been impeached once? George W. Bush, Bill Clinton, Richard Nixon, Herbert Hoover, Andrew Johnson, and John Quincy Adams.
Oh, Bill Clinton.
Yeah, and Andrew Johnson.
Andrew Johnson. Isn't that Andrew Johnson that was the portrait that...
Yeah, the president immediately after Abraham Lincoln.
And he was the portrait that was it. No. Yes. Andrew Jackson was the one in the White House.
Yeah. Andrew Jackson is the one with the giant wheel of cheese.
And
One of my favorite Andrew Jackson stories.
That's right. Yeah.
My son just told me that story the other day.
But no, Andrew Johnson, the individual who I still think is the worst president in the history of the United States. I know a lot of people are saying it's now Donald Trump and all of that stuff. I disagree. I say Andrew Johnson is still the worst president.
Well, he kind of messed up Reconstruction in many ways.
Well, he paved the way for Jim Crow laws. Yep. He paved the way for a lot of things that we are still dealing with in one shape or another 150 years later.
I agree with Doug Craig that it's FDR, because we wouldn't be in the situation where we're like so government dependent if it wasn't for all the social programs that FDR had put in place.
Well, if we're going to talk about that, we could do Woodrow Wilson too.
Woodrow Wilson is definitely
he's high on the bad list. Yeah.
FDR is definitely up there. Buchanan, I could see Buchanan.
Okay, literally every president, right?
Yeah, I know. It's not so much, I tell everyone there, I haven't seen a good president in my lifetime.
Who's the one that died after 30 days? Not that I'm saying but he didn't have time to do anything bad.
That was
one of the Harrisons. One of the Harrisons, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was one of the Harrisons.
Yeah. William Henry, or
I think so.
I don't know.
There's a book, The 9 Presidents That Screwed Up America. I'm surprised they were able to limit it to 9.
Well, it was written in 17 or 1827 or something.
There
like
you go.
That.
When we only had 9 presidents. Oh. Okay, next question. And I love hearing everyone's worst.
Yeah.
Oh, we also have an LBJ in there now.
Yeah.
You also have a Teddy Roosevelt.
Biden says, "Hold my beer."
Okay, come on. Tippecanoe and Tyler too. I mean, that is probably the one of the best campaign songs.
Yep.
I think people still. I have it on I have it on CD on somewhere. Tippecanoe and Tyler too. I know. But you should not be that surprised.
No, I'm not.
Okay, next question. Which of these House members was among the 10 Republicans who voted to impeach Trump? The largest number of a president's own party ever to do so.
Liz Cheney.
Liz Cheney, yep.
I agree, Liz Cheney.
Which really, okay, so I have to admit that when it comes to anybody with the last name Cheney, I'm wondering, okay, what is she, what's the plan? Mm-hmm. What's the scheme there? Because, it would be, I mean, she's third in line, the third highest ranking Republican in the House. Why would she do that unless she had a plan? I mean,
oh yeah. Well, I think it's part of the old guard Republicans trying to call back or grab back onto their party and try to restore some sort of normalcy in the days after Trump. I mean, it's even Trumpers will tell you that the party has vastly changed in the last 4 years. And I think a lot of the old guard Republicans just want it back the old way and get back to business as usual. And it's not going to happen.
Yeah, I know.
There's a lot of love for the Cheney family going on. And I say that extremely sarcastically.
Do I ever catch myself saying Cheney? No. I don't. But there is a road in Lincoln. It's old. I always call it Old Cheney Road. He actually was born in Lincoln. His dad was a civil servant in Lincoln, and then they moved to Wyoming when he was like 10. So I don't know if the road is named after anybody in their family, but okay, that's it.
And actually, Michael brought up a very good point here as well, that the entire political scale has shifted left from the 80s. Well, I don't know if it's shifted left.
No, it's gotten closer together.
Yeah, I don't say Reagan would never be elected as a Republican today.
No, definitely not.
Well, JFK would never be elected as a Democrat today.
That is also exceptionally true. Actually, one of the commenters on Biden's inauguration on CNN, she had a JFK poster behind her. And that was the only thing I could think of, is that, unless if you're a blue dog Democrat, you would never vote for JFK today. Mm-hmm. Never. And you would be in the Democratic Party.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, we lived in Colorado for 5 years, and John Hickenlooper was the mayor of Denver when we lived there, and then he became the governor, and then he ran for president. And I thought of what the Democratic Party stands for and stood for, he was the best representation, but he was too conservative for what is happening now. And I just he was a great example, but he's more like JFK, and now he's still back in Colorado, but I don't think they ever even gave him a chance because he wasn't too wacky with his ideas and trying to get free college for everybody or whatever. But yeah, no, none of these, everybody's moved significantly closer together.
Michael Smith says that JFK would be a conservative. Maybe. Maybe more of a libertarian. I mean, honestly, some of these guys, if you go back, to the 60s, I think a lot of them would be more comfortable in sort of the government stay out of it,
There would still be a lot of hurdles for JFK to become a libertarian, but
his dad.
I think he's far closer to the Libertarian Party than he is to either of the old guard parties. I definitely see that. I mean, he wanted to do away with business taxation and do a lot of cutting in taxation in general. So, yeah, I think, there's an argument for JFK moving towards libertarianism, but I don't know if he's quite there, but he's definitely much further away from where the current parties are.
Yeah.
Well, even his brothers later, Robert and Teddy, moved away from that sort of, I don't know, free market kind of Democrats, and became much more about bigger government doing things. So.
And I agree with Sarah.
Yeah.
I think most people are actually libertarian.
When they stop and think about it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then Susan says, didn't JFK want the gold standard? Well, I don't know if he wanted the gold standard. I mean, the silver standard was still in effect when he was there.
We didn't officially go off, right, until like the 70s.
Well, that's when we left the silver standard, but the gold standard was broken actually in part to pay off World War II. So I think Truman, I'm not exactly sure, but it was right after World War II that we migrated from gold to silver. And I can't remember if it was Truman that did it. Or it may have actually been Eisenhower, now that I think about it, because Eisenhower was the last president in U.S. history to have no national debt. And I think he did it by emptying the gold reserves or moving the gold reserves to silver reserves. I don't remember. I can't. Oh, geez. If anyone's watching and knows the history of that one.
Research for next week.
There you go. Research for next week.
Okay, next one. Sorry.
Yep. Among the mob that attacked the Capitol last week, photographs showing people wearing or carrying a variety of symbols. Which three of these symbols was among them? A sweatshirt with Camp Auschwitz printed on it.
Yes.
Yep. Confederate flags. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
A poster of the United States map showing Trump having won every state but Delaware.
I don't think so.
I don't remember that one. Green and white flags of the fictional country
Kyrgyzstan,
whose design partly derived from the Nazi flag.
Likely.
Yeah, and buttons saying Medicare equals fascism.
I mean, that's true, but I think it's the flag, because those are the ones that the frog people, the people that.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
The frog people. Okay.
God, they're annoying.
Hey.
All right.
Yeah, there you go. I did not remember the green and white flags. I'm glad.
I didn't see any. I always thought they were going to say the Gadsden flag. Like, we need to maybe separate from that.
I love the Gadsden flag. I have actually, I think I have like 8 different versions of the Gadsden flag. But people have tried putting meaning behind it that just doesn't exist.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a Revolutionary War symbol to overthrow the yoke of the oppression of the British government. I mean, it was.
Right. It's
people
getting.
try saying that it's a Civil War symbol, and no, it's not. It's just people have created a fictional history for that flag.
Well, we're going to get the Pine Tree Rebellion flag because it's actually specific to New England, but it's also a good libertarian story about opposing taxation. So,
okay, so I just got a message from a very bright person who says, Nixon took us off the gold standard in 1971. FDR made it effectively non-functional in 1933, but it was technically on the books until Nixon. Ike and Kennedy did a number of policies to try to sustain it, but LBJ and Nixon's combo of spending and inflation. Oh, now I've run out of spending and inflation doomed it. And that is from, you want to know who it's from?
Go for it.
Joe Bishop Henchman.
There you go.
Thanks for watching, Joe.
Yeah, thank you for watching. Yeah, no, wow, I thought the gold standard was actually done away with before Nixon, but okay. I stand corrected. I appreciate that.
Need to do more.
It was
reading.
official. Nixon made it official.
There you go. There
Yeah.
you go. Who's pictured here with Trump?
Oh God, I have to get closer.
Oh, that's the guy that died.
I remember his name starts with an A.
Adelson or Adels?
Yes, Adelson. Adelson, that's it.
Oh, he's little.
Well, he's like about 100 years old there. He died just recently.
Yeah.
Rest in peace.
Okay, I do not know how to spell this man's name, and
Yeah.
I feel guilty now.
Anybody know how to spell it? Sheldon?
No, I spelled it right. Look at that.
There we go.
Good job. Extra points for you.
Sheldon Adelson. Tim was telling us it was Sheldon. But
So yeah, no, that was the billionaire who uses vast wealth to promote right-wing political agendas in America and Israel. Died at 87, but built an empire of casino and resort hotels. And he gave millions to Trump's presidential campaign and an inauguration committee.
Well, there you go.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
I hate the type in your answer thing, but okay,
Yeah.
whatever. They've been doing that more and more lately. What are New Yorkers doing inside these canvas yurts?
Eating.
Yeah.
I
think-
I was going to say, whatever they darn well please, but, but I agree. They're probably eating, and that's correct.
Yay. It's the difference between eating inside and eating outside in a yurt.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, you have
This
your own
is
little
the
space.
picture of the yurt, the time of the tiny house, the season of the bubble, space bubble, the hour of the hut.
That's what the inaugural poet should have, jumped on.
There you go. Islands of solitude within the masses. There you go.
Mm-hmm.
HBO Max ordered a 10-episode reprise of the Sex and the City to be called And Just Like That. Which of the 4 stars said she would not participate?
Kim Cattrall.
There you go. I will defer to you on every entertainment question, Valerie. I'm.
Oh, I know. Oh, it's sad. I can't do math, but
I never saw it. I never saw it when it was on originally. So it's kind of sad, isn't it?
Yeah.
I know roughly what it was about, but
Yeah, I mean, I grew up in New York. When I lived in New York, I refused to watch any program about New York because it's like, why bother?
Yeah.
Now I love watching programs about New York because then it gets me all reminiscent and I love Durham, North Carolina. Do not get me wrong. This is my home. It is the best place for me, and I love it to death. But yeah, no, actually, I actually was on Netflix and I was watching Pretend It's a City. And if you want to hear a funny program about just New York through the 70s and 80s with really snarky commentary, I highly recommend it, by the way.
Elise has a great question she wants us to answer. Libertarians would gain more traction with. Did you find it?
Yeah, I see it.
Yeah, I don't know. Libertarians would gain more traction with people who like freedom.
Oh, here it is.
Yeah, yeah.
With more
Libertarians would gain more
positive
traction
media
with.
attention.
Yeah. It's tough to know.
That's a tough one. You know, we've tried multiple things as a party and as individuals over the years, and you know, shock value really hasn't played out. That was mainly done by individuals within the party. Candor has never really worked. I don't know. I don't know what the answer is, but it has to be something that plays into common sense. It really is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, and not having people on the news saying that we are terrorists and white supremacist radical people that are insane might help. Positive media exposure and attention, which a lot of local channels do that, but nationally is what gets picked up. Nobody's picking up the great stories coming out of Ohio where libertarians are picking up trash when the park bureaus were furloughed, right? Nobody's picking that up nationally. They're going to listen to the crazy former people to talk about how we're white supremacists instead.
I think we could make a lot of headway, frankly, with people who are concerned about our budget, about the national debt. But we have to figure out how to message that in a way, you know. If you reduce the national debt, if you reduce spending, you're going to reduce government.
Yeah.
And then that's what we want to do, right? But we don't necessarily have to scare people with we're going to slash and burn your government, because not everybody's there yet. So.
Yeah. No, explaining why these things matter, not just now, but in the future. Like, we're going to get $1,400 stimulus checks, according to Joe Biden. But that's great now for people who want money right now, right this second. But they're not thinking about how much debt this is going to incur for their children, grandchildren, and down the line. Like, do we not care about the future generations of this country?
And I think that's another thing about libertarian solutions is that our solutions are long-term solutions. Mm-hmm. They're not instant gratification solutions. And when you don't have an instant gratification solution and you're proposing a long-term solution, it's a lot more difficult to sell and to wrap up in an easily digestible piece.
Yes.
And I think that's actually one of the biggest hurdles that libertarianism really needs to come over, because, and then also we're very good about talking about the end point, and we don't really get into a lot of details of how we're going to get there sometimes, even though those plans exist. And there are clear roadmaps that a lot of people have developed, but it's just not, it's not an easy conversation to have sometimes. The long-term solution instead of the short-term, I'll fix your problem tomorrow, but we'll have 10 more next week. So.
Right.
Well, we sometimes get in our own way too, because we don't want to talk about chipping away to get more liberty. We want it, tomorrow or in our lifetime. I mean, and some of us have shorter lifetimes than others. But I think that it's important for us to to recognize that it's not going to happen tomorrow. Even with even if we elected a libertarian Congress and a libertarian president in 4 years, there are still things that have to happen to get us to where we want to be. It just, and so it'll take time.
Oh yeah.
And people are very it's hard to digest when you tell people that the minimum wage should be $0. But it's a much easier to explain when you explain why you shouldn't have a minimum wage instead of saying, no, the minimum wage should be $0, because you sound like a heartless, cold buffoon, right? But if you're telling people, we're paying into Social Security that we're never going to see. So if we took that out, it'd be fine. Like, we live in New Hampshire, there's no sales tax, there's no state income tax. That can happen nationally. That can happen everywhere. And the minimum wage would leaving it at what it is right now would still be more than $15 if everybody got their Social Security and their state income tax back, because they wouldn't be taxed on it. So
Ellie made a great point there. The government is like a drug, and if you quit it cold turkey, it'll kill you. And
yes, there you go. That's a great way to put it.
I love that.
Yeah.
I've never compared government to drug usage before, but I will from now on. Thank you, Ellie.
It's a great comparison.
It really is. It is actually amazingly accurate. Okay, next question. I'm just reading comments and enjoying this conversation, but we need to get back to the news quiz. So Sadir Yaparov won a landslide victory to become Kyrgyzstan's president this week, which, by the way, there are issues with that election. But we'll talk about that another time. 4 months ago, he was in jail serving a sentence for what crime? Organizing pro-democracy marches, fraudulently overturning a previous election result, orchestrating the kidnapping of another politician, secretly working for the Chinese government in neighboring Xinjiang region, or selling the illegal hybrid of oh my god,
some kind of tobacco.
Tobacco. My tongue was just not going to wrap around that one.
Bells there.
What do you guys think?
I mean, all of them are political. So this guy got elected in a landslide. It sounds about right. So
Which one would you say is the craziest one?
The kidnapping.
Laura?
Yeah, I'll say secretly working for the Chinese government. I don't know. I have no idea.
With Val, you're going with kidnapping?
Yeah, that sounds pretty nuts.
Well,
what do you think?
Valerie, you're absolutely right.
You kidnap somebody and then you get elected president. Wow.
Yeah, he actually kidnapped a provincial governor. And yeah, no, it was crazy.
Hey, at least we aren't them.
Yeah. That was I remember reading about that one.
Ooh.
Somebody asked here if we have a youth wing for the LP, and that's a great question. Cyberville asked, or Cybervile, I don't know, which is a great question, and I think that there has been significant talk about starting something formal up within the party. I will tell you that the candidate support committee has added a young man who's like 14 or 15 as an ex officio member of our committee, because we want to try to encourage young folks who are interested to get involved. So,
well, and actually there's a lot of states that do have a young libertarian organization. I think one of the most active right now is Tennessee.
Yeah.
And
that's where this young man's from.
I know. I know Ryan very well.
Yeah.
And he's actually a regular watcher of the show.
He is, yeah.
But he hasn't made any comments tonight. But Tennessee is pretty strong with the youth movement right now. There are quite a few other states that have independent youth movements as well. There's a lot going on at the college level, not necessarily directly with the LP, but that may be changing. We'll see how things go. It is definitely something that I think needs to be there. But how much effort? I mean, yes, there needs to be effort, but it can't be a detracting effort. And I don't mean to make that sound mean. It's coming out of my mouth and I'm going like, oh God, did I really just say that? But it's we're such a small party that, and granted, we're the third largest party in the nation, but I would think that it would have to be like an independent organization outside of the party to be really effective. I think that's the best way of putting it. Does that make sense?
It makes sense, but I may disagree.
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, and that's one of the most wonderful things about the Libertarian Party is that we can disagree.
I mean, I think that there's something to be said. I don't know, Valerie, you can chime in here, but I think there's something to be said for something that is sort of sanctioned by the party. Mm-hmm. To not negatively sanctioned, but an organization, if people are interested in it, that has some sort of a modest endorsement of the party, whether it's the young libertarians or the college libertarians or whatever. Yeah. I think that there's something to be said for engaging people when they're young and giving them some sort of a special purpose in life, mm-hmm. because that's where you get them eager and engaged before they run off to college and get busy.
I will also say that there is no liberty organization currently that fits the bill.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we did have the Libertarian Youth Caucus, and I don't know if that's still very active, but it wasn't for like younger youth. And I would like to say that our youngest lifetime member is 3 years old. So
your son?
No. No, it's not my child, none of my children. So that's one of my things, encouraging parents to bring their children to the meetings so that they see like this is normal, this is what we do, and this is why we're doing it, so that it's not like a weird thing that mom and dad do, or a weird thing that just mom does, just dad does. And mom goes to a meeting and you don't get to come. So, keeping kids involved, keeping children, keeping youth, and then as you grow, and then making that decision later, is this something you actually believe in, or is this something that you were doing because your mom and dad were doing it? Like religion. I mean, I'm not comparing our political party to religion, but you get to a certain age, you make different choices. And so we want to be able to harbor that if that's something that they want to choose to continue to do, to be there at the beginning instead of like, hey, here we are over here. And they're like, no, I've got time for you. I'm doing something else. So yeah, I think it's important to keep the youths involved from any age that they're ready to participate and that their parents are ready for them to participate.
And certainly if you are a teenager who's watching this and is interested in being active, send us messages or individual messages. And if there is a demand, the market works. Yes. And if there's a demand, we'll find a way to help you fill it.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Because nothing's going to get fast-tracked unless if we know that it's going to get filled.
Yeah, there's a need.
Yep.
Fill it, yeah.
Absolutely. Next question. The Labor Department released a report showing that the jobs market stagnated in December. Which of these charts represents nationwide employment over the course of 2020? Was it A, B, C, or D? Well, I think we can all assume that the economy is not stronger today than it was when Corona started.
Yeah, definitely not. So. Is it B?
I'm thinking it's B.
I think it's B.
I feel like it's either B or maybe C.
I'm not sure if I can be that optimistic.
Yeah.
Well,
I still have my job.
So do I. So.
Okay, let's say B.
B. Oh, I have to click it over here. Sorry. It is B.
Yeah.
Yeah. Economy just hasn't sprung back yet, and a large part of that is because of the service industry.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll be supporting them tomorrow for lunch.
Yes. Yeah. Oh no, I definitely am trying to use all local restaurants and eating out at least once or twice a week and all of that stuff. I'm trying to help my community as much as I can.
Yeah, definitely.
Alabama won the college football championship this week. Its 6th title in 12 years. Who was the last blue state team that is one based in a state that Joe Biden won in 2020 to win the national championship?
Excuse me.
I'm not even sure I entirely understand the question, but
A blue state team.
Georgia. Did Georgia win last year or in 2017?
I'm pretty sure Georgia won in 2017.
Well, then there you go. Then it'd have to be them, right?
No.
Southern California.
Southern California in 2004.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Way to go, Southern California.
Incorrect.
You can tell how much of a sports person I am. Okay. Question 10. This map illustrates the percentage of Americans in each state who have blank. Registered with the Democratic Socialists of America, tested positive for the coronavirus, Smith as part of their last name, donated to the Trump-aligned Political Action Committee, or has been vaccinated against COVID-19. So, things we can cross off the list.
The dark one is like almost 5%.
Yeah. So, and then California and New York are not that dark. So
I'm going to say it's
not tested positive for coronavirus.
Yeah.
I'm going to say it's donated to a Trump-aligned political action committee, because here in Nebraska, we were getting all sorts of, I was getting text messages all the time from these groups that wanted us to donate. I mean,
Yeah. And
I
Alaska.
think yeah, and you got the Dakotas there and Oklahoma. Yeah, I think it's got to be.
Yeah. Let's do that.
And actually, knowing that North Dakota, South Dakota, Maine, Vermont, Connecticut, West Virginia, and Oklahoma have some of the least restrictions on who gets the coronavirus vaccine and when, I'm actually going to say been vaccinated against COVID-19. Because a lot of your very pale colored, either they're hard red states or they have some of the most strict rules and regs on who, when, and how. Because I know in North Carolina here, and we're right here at about 2.5, there are fines to the hospitals or organizations. But I don't know. I'm
Okay.
I'm just saying it very well may be Trump-aligned political
I think
action.
you talked me into that one. So
But if it's donated to a Trump-aligned political action committee, we're saying Connecticut is over 5%.
yeah, and not Alabama. You're
And
right.
not Alabama, and Alabama's at a less than 2.5%.
Yeah. All right.
I'm just saying, been vaccinated.
All right.
Okay.
Uh,
You're right.
Yep. There were just some states that stuck out at me. Yep. And actually, and they don't even talk about it, but like in North Carolina, if you're a hospital and you give someone who isn't in the phase that we are supposed to be vaccinating, the hospital can be charged thousands and thousands of dollars per case.
yeah.
It's ridiculous. The hospitals are so afraid of giving somebody that doesn't actually deserve the vaccination yet, that to get the vaccination can take 4 to 6 hours after you've gotten to the front of the line.
And the paperwork in New York, I think I said this last week, it's an online form. It's for senior citizens, and it's like 51 questions, and 2 of the questions require a digital upload.
Yep.
Like, My grandma's 87 years old. I mean, she's in a nursing home, so this, obviously doesn't apply to her because they would do it for her. But if she was still living at home, which she was last year, she doesn't even have she doesn't have internet. She doesn't have a computer. How would she even access the form? And 51 questions for an elderly person like that with a digital upload. Like, some of these things are just, if you want people to have it, give it to them.
They're talking about having you have to have 2, preferably 3 forms of photo ID if you're over the age of 65, just to prove that you're 65.
My God,
my driver's license isn't good enough.
Bring your Medicare card.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Is that enough?
My sister said she, one of her friends was like picking up a prescription at the pharmacy later in the evening, and they had COVID vaccines that were going to go bad, and asked, "Do you want this?"
Yeah.
And that's it. So she just said, "Oh, if you want it, just go hang around a pharmacy late at night." And I'm like, maybe that's yeah.
North Carolina, we've thrown away over 15,000 vaccines so far.
All that money.
Because they expired.
Yeah.
That's what's going on. That's the problem.
Stupid.
It's so stupid. So stupid. All right, last question.
Okay.
Dutch customs officials this month seized a ham sandwich from a British truck driver entering the Netherlands by ferry. "Can you take the meat and leave me the bread?" the driver asked. "I'm sorry," the officer replied. What event caused the officer to confiscate the sandwich?
Something was wrong.
Netherlands.
Something was wrong with the meat. Was it like,
or ham? Was it something related to a religious holiday?
It's the Netherlands. Netherlands, they're Christian.
But is it the Netherlands that has some kind of weird, they recognize some non-Christian holidays? I don't know.
So I'll be honest, I read this article. So
okay, so tell us what it is. Just tell us what it is.
Brexit. England is no longer part of the European Union, and it is illegal to bring in any foodstuffs into the EU.
So it doesn't have anything to do with ham. It's just,
it has nothing to do with ham. It has no. You cannot bring any sort of food. Actually, if you are an airline and you are flying internationally, you cannot dispose of your food waste until you get back to another non-European country, because they are so worried about whatever. It's ridiculous. So yeah, no, airlines actually have to carry their garbage around if they're traveling internationally into the EU from a non-EU country. So it's Brexit. Yep.
Good job, Eric.
Yeah, thank you for that.
Wow. The article was actually really interesting. It got into a lot of the complexities of food law that the European Union is now imposing on all of its member nations.
I mean,
Miguel has had a great answer though. Swine-born mutant ninja turtle COVID-20.
There you go. Ooh.
That's next month. Don't worry.
Yeah, I know. What is that? That sounds like we have zombie cows.
Yeah.
But so that brings us to an end on the quiz. We got 10 out of 11. We did better than 91% of those who took the quiz. 6% of quiz takers got the same score as us, and 3% did better than us. So thank you to Valerie and Laura, and thank you to everyone who has been making such great comments.
Yeah, lots
of online today.
Thanks for everybody who's new.
Yeah.
Welcome home.
Do we have any announcements? Do we have any comments to make as we're wrapping up? Valerie, go for it.
Hey, tomorrow's my birthday, and I am
Happy
going.
birthday! That's right.
I am going to make a Facebook post on my official page, asking for donations to the Affiliate Support Fund tomorrow. So if everybody would be so kind as to not buy me a birthday present, as I know you all were, donate $42 in honor of my 42nd birthday. I wish I was turning 50 so I could say $50, but I'm just kidding. You could give me $50. That'd be great. So I can chip away at my big giant fundraising goal that I have for this term. And if you see it, share it, please. I only need about 200 people to donate $42 and I'll be super happy. But
awesome.
I never realized we were exactly the same age.
Yeah, we are. That's why we look so good.
It's hard being us. It's hard. As we get the stink eye. Oh,
gotta be 42 again.
Oh, there you go. Actually, you know what? All my friends will tell you that actually I have not celebrated a birthday after 36, but I celebrate my birthday every single year. So this is my this was my 6th anniversary of my 36th birthday. Oh, great. So yes, no, definitely look for the post on Valerie's official Facebook page and make a donation to the candidate support team.
Affiliate
support team. I'm sorry.
I'm candidate support.
There you go. I'm sorry.
We can raise a lot of money with my birthday this year.
Come on, Laura, you're only 44. I mean, but on that note, I think it's time to say goodnight, and we will see you next week, same time, same Libertarian channel. Have a great night, and thank you so much for watching. Good night, everybody.
Thank you.